All right, so the premise is that Donald Trump lied about what the tariffs were supposed to be, or what you were going to get from the tariffs, and then what you did get from the tariffs were asked.
Wait, what?
Yes,
He
this was the
lied.
premise. I told you that. Yes, that was the
You
premise
didn't
the
say
entire
nothing
time.
about lying. You said, are the Trump tariffs good or bad?
That was not what I said. Well, we can do that as well. That's a much easier. That's a much easier task. We can do that. Let's do that.
I mean, I want to make sure that you're okay with it, though.
I'm more than fine with doing that.
Okay, roll it.
All right, so oh my god, what is this fucking charger? All right, well, we're gonna rock it like this, and then I'm gonna go get a charger apparently. All right, so Belle, you want to do the coin flip?
So we're clear. Just so we're clear on the premise, you're saying that the tariffs, that your argument is that the tariffs were good, and my argument is that the tariffs were bad. Correct? That's the only thing we're doing.
That they are a benefit to America. Yes.
So
Okay.
Thumb is
All
arguing that
right.
the tariffs are a benefit to America. Shawnee is arguing that the tariffs are not a benefit to America. Am I correct?
Are you sure that that's the route you want to take?
You're the one that came up with it, dude. So
No,
let's
I
go off
told
of what you
you the
said.
prompt. I basically gave you the prompt that I gave 50.
You never
That
said
not
anything
only
about
did he lie
lying.
to you about, not only did he lie to you about what the tariffs were supposed to do, but he also, what you did actually get from the tariffs was trash. But it's okay if that's what you prepare for. We can go on that one.
I just need to know what the premise is.
I'll go with whatever Thumb wants to do.
All right,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I think that you can prove that he lied about everything if you want to include, exaggerations and everything that y'all typically do, though. So, I mean, that right there is easy to win.
I mean,
oh my god, you too.
So,
like I
but
said, whatever Thumb wants to do, I'm down for it.
All
I
right,
mean,
so
we
Thumb,
did
do
we
you want
did
to argue that the tariffs are
we
good for
did
America?
yes.
Okay, and Shawnee Boy, you're going to argue that the tariffs are not good for America, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So we are going to flip a coin. Who challenged who? Shawnee Boy, you challenged Thumb
Challenge Thumb.
to. All right,
Yes.
so does Shawnee Boy call then?
I'll go. I'll go heads.
Okay, Belle, flip the coin. All right, Shawnee, do you want to go first or do you want Thumb to go first?
Go first.
You're going to go first? All right, so you have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Your first words, I'll start the clock. I'll put a 30-second warning in the chat, okay?
All right. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a quick breakdown of how the tariffs are currently hurting America. The tariffs, unfortunately, we have been misled by what they are supposed to do and the value that they bring. The reality is that every single tariff, every single tariff that was put in place under the Emergency Powers Act, has resulted in a negative impact in America. Well, what you'll see is that you've paid more money for your taxes, and you've created an economic uncertainty that is currently plaguing the United States with lower job numbers and sustained and sorry and hurt economic growth. That's not the right word, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. I'm going to be able to show this with multiple different facts. We can also show that the New York Fed has shown that people have paid more for the taxes, and that 90% of the tariffs that we have received are on the burden of U.S. consumers and/or U.S. companies. This is just the truth. That is not beneficial for anyone involved. And if you want a free or fair market, what you'll have to do is remove the tariffs and come up with different ideas.
All right, you're done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so let me reset this. Thumb, I will start the timer on your first words and you'll get a 30-second warning in the chat. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. For decades, unfair trade practice has gutted American manufacturing, closed factories, and shipped good paying jobs overseas. President Donald Trump's strategic tariffs are finally putting an end to this exploitation and rebuilding our economic strength by imposing tariffs on steel, aluminum, and imports from countries like China that dump subsidized goods and steal intellectual property. Trump has protected vital American industries. These policies sparked significant new investments in U.S. steel mills, and helped revitalize domestic production, supporting thousands of jobs in metal sectors and raising wages for workers. Manufacturers are reshoring operations right here in America. Beyond protecting jobs, these tariffs have generated hundreds of billions of new revenue in U.S. Treasury, funds that strengthen our fiscal position without raising taxes on American families. They have also given us powerful leverage, forcing better trade deals like the USMCA and compelling fair practices in our trading partners. Crucially, Trump's tariffs enhance our national security by reducing our dangerous dependence on adversarial nations for critical materials and supply chains. Trump tariffs aren't protectionism for own sake. They're smart economic policy to put America first, safeguards our workers, secures our futures, and restores fairness to global trade. And I can see the rest of my time.
Thank you so much, Thumb. Let me reset this timer to your 20 minutes of general conversation and back and forth. And I will put a 5-minute warning and a 1-minute warning in the chat. The timer will start as soon as one of you speaks.
Unfortunately, what Thumb Thuggin has said is just not accurate, right? He's under this impression that all of these deals are being made and there's so much manufacturing that's going to be restored back in America, but there's no actual proof of any of this. But what we do have proof of is from the BLS is that manufacturing was down in 2025. We saw a reduction in manufacturing in 2025 when these tariffs were supposed to do the opposite. What we also saw in that same year is lower economic growth compared to the previous year, and what we also saw beyond that is terrible job growth. We saw negative job numbers consistently throughout the years, which align with the uncertainty that I highlighted in my opening statement. Go ahead, though.
While I agree with you that some job sectors did actually lose some jobs, focusing on like steel and aluminum production, you can see where there's lots of growth. 1 second, I can pull those numbers up right now. Under the 232 tariffs that effective as of April 2026, metal tariffs, steel, aluminum, and copper, updated by April 2nd, shows an increase of production at around 3%, and this is 5% year over year. That right there alone is showing that the positivity in some of the tariffs that we're actually experiencing. Lumber, timber, 10% on lumber, 25% on certain furniture. That's also increasing in the United States. And as far as the countries that we have already signed agreements with, it's 19 countries. I can list them right now: Argentina, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Taiwan, Ecuador. I can keep going on. 19 closed deals confirmed by both parties. I don't know why you need confirmation on that.
So,
do you want source? Do you want a source from that?
So I don't know. I don't need any confirmation on the deals that were signed. The deals that were signed were, a lot of what was signed were frameworks. Over 50% of the deals that were signed were just frameworks, ideas that they wanted to do, right? That's not a real agreement. And it still doesn't mean just because you have agreements, doesn't mean that it's beneficial. Now, one thing that I do know that exists in all of these different deals is a bare minimum tax tariff of 10%. Now, we all know that we're the American consumer. Well, not the American consumer, but Americans overall, companies and consumers bear 90% of the tax, like I said, provided by the New York Fed. And since that is the case, a 10% tariff across the board on all of these deals sound like a bad deal to me. To me, the negotiation was supposed to be to remove the tariffs and to have us be able to compete in their markets better. But it sounds like they just want us to have to pay for their tax cuts, which is unacceptable. That's not beneficial to America.
Sure, but can you agree? I mean, I agree with the 90%, but can you also come back and agree that even though inflation we haven't seen that 10% hit everything? I mean, inflation is lower than it was the previous year, is it not?
Yeah, but just because inflation was lower doesn't mean that the tariffs didn't slow that reduction, right? So the reality is that we could have probably saw. I mean, I would argue we would have saw lower inflation if you had not increased the price of products over time. Because the reality is that even if you look in that New York Fed program, you'll see that prices did go up. We saw increases of prices on things like automotive cars, for example, right? I mean, in the automotive sector, we saw increases really across the board. Now, the one thing I will give you is that the American companies did eat a lot of the tariffs. But what did they say this year? They said we can't keep doing that. General Motors took a $3.1 billion hit just on the tariffs last year. How sustainable is that supposed to be?
Sure. How sustainable is a consumer economy? Like a year over year, how many years can we continue to do that?
What do you mean? Well, we've done it so far for decades. I would think you would have to make the argument that it's not sustainable.
Correct. We cannot sustain on this current path, so something has to be done. Correct.
Well, no, I don't agree. I think the current consumer market does work because it's a more complex environment. That complexity allows for our economy to maintain its growth, and that is beneficial to everyone. Now, what I would argue is that America could probably try different things instead of tariffing the people and taxing the people. How about we provide different opportunities instead of paying $1.5 trillion for our military?
Well, I mean, we could probably go into that in a different debate. I'd like to stick on the tariffs distinctly, though. I mean, also, what type of price would you put on like security and the security of our companies in the United States? You know, because a lot of these countries, especially China, they steal our technology year after year. I mean, we have a
Even if that was the case, you're still hurting those same those same companies. Those companies at the end of the day in the free market are free to go to China and can choose not to go to produce in China. It was an option that they chose because they felt like it was financially advantageous for them to do. I don't think we should force any organization. What we should do is we should encourage our people to only buy American products. And then that way you encourage those people to produce the product here. So that way an American can go, hey, I'm willing to pay an extra $5,000 for an iPhone that's produced here than it would be in a place like India or China.
And don't you agree that tariffs is one way to do this?
No, like I said, I think tariffs only hurt the American people. That's what I believe. I believe that if you won't be able to produce enough in America because the number one issue that most companies highlight is labor costs. And labor costs in America will never change because we are always looking to grow, to get better. But you can't do that in manufacturing, right? You want to reduce your manufacturing costs so you can sell more of the product. You would agree on that, correct?
Sure. Yeah, but labor cost is generally 10 to 15% of sales. So labor cost is not a huge. You can't really save huge like high places there. You can save currently on logistics. It's a far greater cost of sales. Looking at it right now, especially with fuel going up so much. Labor's still a small part of that. I mean, even if you cut labor by 5%, or yeah, let's just say we cut labor 1% of the 15% that we're actually using right now. That's a very small percent overall. If you can cut down travel to a place, you're saving so much more money. So,
In theory.
I mean,
Right, go ahead.
no, not in theory. That's in actuality. That's
That's in theory,
actual. That's actual right now.
So again, that would be in theory. The reason why it would be in theory is because one, you can come up with ways to create cheaper fuel costs for your transportation. That's number one. And number two, like I said, organizations are citing labor costs as as one of the number one drivers as to why they're offshoring their production. Right. So, for example, let's look at Mexico, for example. If I were to produce a product in Mexico versus here, the cost of living in Mexico is about $20,000 a year. I mean, not the cost of living. The average household cost. I mean, average household is about $20,000 a year. In the United States, it's about $82,000 a year. That alone makes sense for us to manufacture that vehicle here, especially products like, for example, the new EV Equinox. We should encourage manufacturing, like high complex manufacturing, to be done here, but low cost manufacturing in other nations. That's beneficial for America. The tariffs have not done that. What the tariffs have done is the only thing that the tariffs have done is caused issues and uncertainty in the market. That's what they've done.
Again, I'd like to just stay on tariffs, not like the stock market or anything like that.
Wait, no. Well, to be fair,
I would also like
yeah.
to point out that there are, I mean, we just surpassed Japan in steel manufacturing for the first time in 26 years. I would just like to point that out. Also, they are contributing the tariffs directly to this. I have a CEO's name that actually said that. Let me see if I can find it.
So while you're finding that, are you telling me that uncertainty in markets are not are benefit uncertainty in the market doesn't actually affect if something good is happening in America or not?
Well, sure, but the markets, I mean, it's pretty high right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, no, that's not what I mean. When I say uncertainty, I'm not referring to the market. I'm talking about the decisions that companies are making. So, for example, if I say, "Hey, I want to expand my employment base by 500 people," I'm going to stop doing that because I don't know what my tax burden is going to be if I'm, say, for example, JCB or General Motors. I'm going to see what the tariffs actually produce and how I can find a way to get around it first. Because I would rather produce in India, right, that has a 10% tariff than in China that has a 40% tariff.
Again, you said that uncertainty in the market is going to affect us, but then you said that since it's high, that doesn't matter. I mean,
Wait, no. When I say uncertainty
could you
in the market,
restructure what you were talking about?
when I say uncertainty in the market, I'm not referring to the stock market. I'm talking about the entire free market that we purchase things in. Employers, employees, they might be hesitant to work for you. So, for example, if I'm an HR director, I might not want to work for somebody who could possibly be exposed to 40% tariffs in the coming weeks. You would agree with that would be a concern, right? And that was something you would consider if you were working for a company.
I mean, sure, if it was like 40 or 50%, it directly affected that job industry, but I mean that would be very specific, and I don't think that overall that would be a concern to most people.
Well, again, that's it. We still seem to be in that same issue, right? Where you've highlighted small things, but the conversation is about if it's good for America. The reality is that what you provided to me, from what I understand, does not align with real success. What I do know is that companies had to pay billions of dollars, and it caused them to slow down on hiring. It caused them to slow down on investment. And what we actually saw was a reduction in manufacturing as a result of these things.
Okay, I'm not really sure about that, but I would like to highlight some of these industry this data from the AISI industry data page. Um, Specific mill examples for Humming, Granite Steel in Illinois, U.S. Steel, restart of an idled blast furnace announced in late 2025, rehiring of 400 union workers, described as a sign of industrial revival tied to tariffs. rising demand, workers recalled after layoffs, expected full resumption in 2026. This is covered by the New York Times, Fox Business. Big River Steelworks in Arkansas. Expansion completed and ramping up as one of the most advanced mini mills in North America, describing as humming at full capacity by 2026 projections. I mean, all these right here are good things that are happening from the tariffs. And this is in our steel industry. This is one of a major applications that we need to also discuss. Also, again, I'd like to highlight our security risks involved in a lot of these countries that we're just giving all of our business to. China being number one in that. I mean, I got plenty of information on like semiconductors, patents being stolen, all types of other examples that our stuff's being stolen and taken over there. Do you not agree that we need to bring some of this manufacturing home, and this is one way to do it?
No, I don't think. Like I said, I think if anything, this is the worst way to do it. I think that this is the reason why we will see negative GDP growth over, I believe, 10 years is what the Tax Foundation cited. So negative GDP growth is not a good thing. It's not a good indicator. That's not just a clip of what the steel industry is able to do, but it's a clip. It's a better understanding of what the entire United States is going to experience. And the reality that we're in right now is that we need to come up with new and creative ways to incentivize manufacturing in the United States, because we want our employees that exist in the United States to be paid properly. And what you're currently doing, what you're actually doing, I think, with tariffs is incentivizing the idea of automation and AI taking over all the manufacturing. So just because it's produced here doesn't mean it's benefiting the American people. I would love to buy a Chevy Blazer EV SS tomorrow that's built in the United States. But we already have that. It's called the Lyric V. And while I might have to make a little bit more money to get that, them firing 1,500 people and replacing it with robots or AI is not beneficial to the American people.
Do you have examples of, hold on. Do you have examples of like what you're talking about? I mean,
what do you mean?
AI and automation has been a thing for, at least the past 20 years. It is totally, contributed to some of our job loss in America. But you're saying that it can happen tomorrow?
I'm not saying it would happen tomorrow. What it would look like is about 5 years what they would do, because we're assuming that these tariffs would stay in place. What would happen is they would bring the manufacturing here so they don't have to pay the tariff and just automate all of the value out of the systems. We already know that automation is taking over in places like, for example, UPS and Amazon, right? The Amazon laid off 16,000 people just this year alone because they said that they want to replace these people with AI. There are systems currently going out. There are other companies that are currently expressing this interest in reducing their staff for AI. And I think that that's unacceptable. That doesn't help the American people. That just removes jobs.
Hold on a second. So do you think that tariffs are going to, if we cut tariffs off today, do you think we're still not going to implement AI?
I think we still will implement AI. I think the problem is that tariffs will increase that because you're not able to you're not reducing their value. So if you want to bring manufacturing to the United States, what you would do is you would incentivize these companies to come over here and create those jobs. So you might say, hey, your tax burden of 21%, we can reduce it to 5% for the next 15 years if you can produce so many amount of jobs, right?
Right.
You would agree with that?
Kind of like the 19 jobs that we already have, the 19 countries that we already have deals with. Yeah, just like those jobs. I mean,
well, actually, none of those
people that are
those
investing into those.
To be fair, none of those deals are actually deals, right? Half of those are just frameworks.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get this straight. So you're saying that even though both sides confirmed that they are deals, they're not deals, correct?
Yes,
that's what you're stating.
Deals. Yes, I agree. They are not deals. Trade deals require a very But
Okay.
well,
Sure.
like I said, 50% of them are just frameworks. If I agree to a framework, that's not the same thing as a deal, correct?
If I agree to invest into your country and put money into there, do you not think that that's going to result in people
Well, you're
possibly getting
assuming that
jobs in that?
I actually follow through with that, right? So,
That's
for
what.
example, what if I
Well,
told you?
yeah, I'm
What
going to
if
go
I
on
told you?
good faith.
Right? No, there's no need for good faith because the countries can't be trusted. Donald Trump showed us that with the Mexico Canada tariffs, right? So let's really run this through.
Which
If I
by
said, hey, yeah, what I'll do over the next 10 years, I'll invest $785 million in your $1 billion in your country, and then I find out the tariffs that you were actually implementing on my country have no legal basis. Why would I follow through with that deal? Or better
because
yet,
I
why
mean,
wouldn't I just go ahead?
so I'm not going to go on speculation. What I'm going to do is go on confirmed, closed, signed agreements. That's what I'm going to go on. You can go on speculation all you want, but what I am doing, I'm going to go on these signed agreements. They're confirmed, and I'm just going to go off that. That's all we have, right? I'm not going to speculate that they're going to be broken in the future. That because that's
So
what
then
you're basically doing. You're
why would you
speculating. You're speculating.
why would you trust the deals if they're not actually done deals?
They are confirmed, closed, and signed.
They
What
are
else do
not.
you want?
So for example, the deal with the EU is still being put together today, unless there was some type of signing in the last week or so. That's
I
something
didn't
I know for a
include.
fact.
Yeah, I didn't include the EU in that. That's
You
a
said
that's a
19.
combined of 20. Right, that's a combined of 27 member states. That's not what I was told. I mean, I can go over the list. It's Vietnam, United Kingdom, Thailand,
All right,
Switzerland, South
time.
Korea.
All right, I'm gonna reset this to 2 minutes. Shawnee started, so Thumb will get the first closing state. I don't know why I can't say closing. Closing statement. Timer will start on your first words. I'll put a 30-second warning in the chat. Thumb.
Yeah. Okay. Like I stated earlier, American security aren't negotiable. There's a wall we build against China's playbook: forced tech grabs, cyber theft, dumping cheap junk to kill our factories. Back in 2018, we hit them hard on steel, aluminum. Now it's 50% walls on everything from chips to EVs. China retaliates, sure. They slap back, probe us, but we're not bleeding jobs anymore. Supply chains are coming home. Steel mills are humming. Rare earths secured. Are rare earth. That's a hard thing to say. Rare earths are secured. No more waiting for Beijing for batteries or meds. That protects us. No blackouts from hacked grids. No spies stealing American ingenuity. Semi conductors. Patents are worth billions of dollars. IP theft costs hundreds of billions of dollars. Tariffs force them to play fair or pay up. And the last thing that I'd like to say, I mean, we this is about tariffs. It's not about free trade. It's not about the stock market. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Shawnee boy, let me reset this. All right, I'll start on your first word. I'll put a 30-second warning in the chat if needed.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Okay,
1 second. I'm sorry.
you're fine. Do 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 do. Bluntman, you have a challenger in the chat. If you're still in here, you have a challenger in the chat. We're finishing up with this one. Love to get that up next. If you're down, Fent thinks that he is going to embarrass you, and I want to see that. I want to see that.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. You know, when the kiddos are screaming, I don't want to miss out on an opportunity. Unfortunately, the tariffs are just not a good idea. They're not good for America overall. They've never really been really good at doing even what they aim to complete. The reality is that manufacturing is not growing in the United States. You can go look at the BLS to see that. We see that companies are, based on this uncertainty, are slowing down their hiring. You can see that by looking at the fact that we were only able to produce I think it was 148,000 jobs versus the previous year, which was 1,427,000 jobs. The reality is that this plan does not make sense. Punishing companies for leaving is not a good idea if you want them to come back. The answer is, and the answer will always be, incentivize these companies to come back if you want it to be good for America. What I actually believe the Trump administration did is they didn't care if it hurt Americans or not, and that's why they did it. It was for tax revenue. It was to produce an idea and an opportunity for us to have a better sales tax, and that's what this is.
We'll just. All right. We'll wait for the judges to get me a score here. Boxes can be filled up now if you guys want to accept people. They can come on up. Is Bluntman here? No, I'll find Bluntman. All right. All right, I do have the score. All right, we'll go through Sheanie first. Respect for the other team 4, information 4, rebuttal 3, use of facts and stats 2, organization 4, understanding the topic 4 for a total of 21 points. Thuggin, respect for the other team 4, information 4, rebuttal 3, use of facts and stats 2, organization 4, understanding of the topic 3 for 20 points. Sheanie boy with the 1 point win on this one. That makes you guys effectively 1-1. We're going to need a tiebreaker. We're going to need a tiebreaker between you two. 1 point is crazy.
Oh, I need to understand how the stats and statistics that I may have missed. I'd like to see where I got a 2 on that.
Well, I will see if we can get you some feedback from the judge. Give me a little while. But we need... Fent is looking for Bluntman. Fent is looking for Bluntman. If we could mass
Hello?
share this out to
Hello?
Bluntman, please.
Hello?
Hello, Fent. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Bex? I know me and you